Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Moss, co-founder of Moss Consulting. Welcome to this edition of the Moss Minute called Park Talk, where we talk to entrepreneurs and incredible people in Easton Park about their experience in life. I'm here today with Indiia Wilmott, and I'm so excited to hear all about what you do. You do so much for the community. So can you start by telling us when you moved to Easton Park?
Okay. Our house was finished November of 2019. And we moved in right before things got weird in 2020.
Okay.
And so I can't believe it's been 2019. That's a long time.
Yeah. And what part of Easton Park?
Oh, we're in Skyline.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful up there. We are in a Dream Finders home and we loved it. Our build experience was interesting. Who was your builder and how was your experience?
Our experience was great. We are with Perry Homes.
Awesome.
And our person at the time was Mark.
Okay.
And then we met Asaf at that time too, who was wonderful. And it was really, I felt like it was really seamless. I actually was out of the state while the building was happening. So my husband was here. And so I would get weekly videos of the walkthroughs once there was a frame. They were just great with the reports. It was a wonderful experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So everyone that lives in Easton Park talks about how much they love Easton Park. What would you consider your favorite thing about living in Easton Park?
I would say the community feeling of it. I grew up in a very small town in Virginia.
Okay.
Like 20,000 people, small town in Virginia. So there was one high school, one middle school, 5 elementary schools. So I'm used to knowing a lot of people. I know my neighbors. And since I've moved away from my hometown long time ago, I've never found that same kind of community feeling before.
Right.
And so it's really special to me to have that. And especially now that I have a daughter, it's really special that we know the people who live around us. She goes to school with the kids who live down the street or a couple of streets over. And that has really been a huge, huge thing for me. Makes me feel more comfortable, especially because I don't have family who lives here in Texas.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sure. What brought you from Virginia? Did you come from Virginia to Texas?
No. So I grew up in Virginia. After college, my friends were sort of like, what are we going to do? And so we were working, and a couple people wanted to go and finish a degree and start a master's at Arizona State.
Okay.
And she had family in Arizona. She's like, okay, I'm going to go there. Does anybody want to go with me? And so, when you're young, you're like, yeah, absolutely. I know nothing about that.
Yeah.
So she went first with a friend. And then I went out to visit about 6 months later. And I was like, I could probably live here. And so then went back home to Virginia. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be moving to Arizona. My parents were like, what? And so I sold what didn't fit in my car, and my other friend did the same thing, and we drove out to Arizona, and that was that. I lived there for about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
I met my husband there. We started dating when we were living there, and then he works in tech, and he got a job in California, like at a tech place in like Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And once that looked like it was going to be long-term, we moved to California.
Okay.
Again, I'd only visited there like one time. I was like, all right, I guess this is where we're going. Went there and lived in the Bay Area for 4 years, somewhere around there. And once he was cleared to be a little bit more remote, we were able to move to Texas.
Nice.
And again, sight unseen. Now, Austin, I had actually never visited.
Really?
No, he came here before on like a business trip. And he's like, I need to be somewhere kind of central, so where they have multiple flights to San Francisco day, just in case I need to go be gone for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
They also need to be international because he did a lot of international travel at the time. So he was like, I like Austin. It's central. What do you think? Give it a try. And I'm like, okay, I guess. He's like, also at that time, cost of living isn't that bad.
Oh, sure.
He's like, maybe we could get a house. I was like, oh, okay, more bedrooms. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So now that has been 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so here we are.
That's amazing. Do you still like Austin?
I do still like Austin. The first few years I was here, I did not like Austin. I have to be very honest. I I came here because we needed a change as far as having more space, thinking about starting a family and all of that. However, it was a very big change for me being somebody who has built my whole career working in the arts. And my career was very rich. And I had a really wonderful community in San Francisco that was very hard to leave.
Sure.
So the first few years actually that we lived here, I didn't know anyone, of course, and no family here. So I kept taking jobs in San Francisco and just going back for like 3 or 4 months at a time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just working there and I would just take, and my job's theater. Sorry. I'm an actor.
Okay.
So I would just audition. And so I would just kept working there. So I would be gone 3 or 4 months and then come back and do whatever and then get another job and go. And he was always traveling too. So, yeah.
So tell me more about the arts and acting and then let's talk about what you do in the community because you do all kinds of stuff in the community.
Yeah.
But I want to hear more about your acting career and like what got you started in that.
Yeah. So I was always that kid that was just like, here I am, So I was always wanting to perform. I started off playing musical instruments and, I was a band kid, I was a chorus kid and all of that. And there wasn't a lot of theater in my town, so I didn't get a chance to do a lot of school plays and stuff, but some. But there was a trip that we took as a choir to go see Broadway, and I was like, okay, that's the thing. That's what I'm going to be.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do.
Love it.
I don't know how, but I'm going to do that. And so things happen where it's like, my parents are like, is that a job? I don't know if that's a job. So I was like, okay, maybe it's not. So I went to college for something completely different. And so I could get a job.
Sure.
Yeah. So I didn't get back into acting until I was maybe in my early 20s. And my friend was like, you are kind of miserable. I think you need to do more performance again. And so I printed off some sheet music. I saw that they were auditioning for Grease. This was in Arizona.
Okay.
And not Grease, sorry, Hair.
Okay.
Hair. Why did I say Grease? Because the song I did was from Grease. So anyway, Hair. And I'm like, I've never auditioned for anything like this. She's like, just what songs do you know? I was like, I know some songs from Grease. Let's try that. So I printed off the sheet music. I went in there and gave it to them and I sang and I got a part and that was it. I was like, okay, great. Here we go. So I started up doing community theater and then just kept working really hard. And then fast forward a few years, was doing professional theater in San Francisco once we moved. So when we left Arizona, I was like, what am I going to do? And my husband's like, this is a thing that you want. You need to get more training. So I would go to class all day on Saturdays at American Conservatory Theater and just work. Got more training and then audition until people finally paid attention. And that's that. So I did a lot of musicals and then I do straight plays and whatnot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Can you give us a little Grease song that you auditioned with?
So the song I auditioned with was Rizzo's song, There Are Worse Things I Could Do. And people were like, we haven't heard that song in decades. I was like, yeah, let me sing. There are worse things I could do than go with a boy or two. Even though the neighborhood thinks I'm trashy and no good, I suppose it could be true. But there are worse things I could do.
I just got goosebumps. That was good. That's amazing.
So yeah, that was it. And I love that song. And that was the song that started me where I should have been the whole time.
That's awesome. Yeah. You want to do music in the park? How cool would that be if you did like a whole like musical like music in the park?
Oh my gosh. So
you're like, Nicole, you're asking a lot.
On my list of things to do before I feel like my voice is just gone is to do a little cabaret set. I've always wanted to do a cabaret set of some of my favorite musical theater songs. One time. I would just love to do that one time.
Music in the park. We don't have an October show.
No.
Careful. We'll talk
Who
about
wants
it.
to play the piano or something for me?
Oh, People would.
I can't accompany myself. I'm too rusty on that.
That would be an amazing thing. Let's put a pin in that one because I mean I'm sure someone knows how to play the piano.
Yeah.
Like within a stone's throw from here. That was awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
So let's talk about what you
Mm-hmm.
do all kinds of stuff in the community for the kiddos and
Yeah.
tell me about that.
So when I lived in San Francisco, I worked for a museum and I was an event planner. And so I love planning events. I love bringing people together. I love that. I love it. And so living here during that lockdown time was so bizarre. Like we were all connecting online, but we weren't necessarily connecting in person yet because we couldn't. And so
Right.
my first thought was like, okay, what do we do to meet everybody once we can actually open up? And I was like, how about an outside block party?
Yeah.
And so that was just it. And I called HOA and I was like, can I plan a block party? And they were like, yeah, you can do whatever. Like, find a space that you want to do it. And so that was it. And I just sort of asked people, like, would anybody like to help with the planning of that? And then I called around for a food truck. And then that just sort of kicked it off. And I was like, this is happening. Meet us over here. I got a DJ. Mario was our DJ.
Mario.
Yeah, he was our DJ. And yeah, it was just really awesome. And so that's really started it all. And I was like, okay, what else can we do there needs to be more stuff that we all do together to meet each other and not just have social media relationships.
Yeah.
And so it was that. And then I asked if I could help plan the first Pride event that we ever had here. And then MLK Day, that one was really fun. We were able to do that outside, down at the Union. Yeah, and then I was offering like free theater classes at Bryant Park, like in the pavilion. Again, it was like the kids didn't have a lot of ways to interact, and it was still during a time where we were sort of opening up, but no one was together, and so we were just meeting outside. And so I would just bring the kids and do like some fun little games, and then a story time that we could act out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was such a weird time. Like, it was such a strange time. And we moved in 2016, and it was Bryant Park and Nob Hill, and Colette was the activity director. And it was like, we're always doing something that the HOA was putting on, and everyone was together.
Yeah.
And then it stopped.
Right.
And it was really kind of, it was sad because they really did such a great job of like getting people together in a really creative way. And like, it was awesome. I thought it was great. And then when it stopped, they were doing the best that they could. Like I remember they had rocks out where you can go get a bag of rocks and paint them or whatever. And that was really cool. And other things. So that's really, and I don't, we don't have children. So it's interesting to think about like, oh, these kids weren't interacting with each other. So to put together an activity, that's amazing.
Yeah, because it was, and I knew, and at that time I didn't have kids, but having worked with kids for so long, I know how hard it is for them to connect through the screen, and they need to have that FaceTime with people. So I was like, if you guys are okay with meeting outside, let's do that. They were on their little mats, 6 feet apart, and we did that, and it was really fun. I just started again offering some toddler music classes, which is new. Wasn't doing that before. But with my daughter, we always sing together. I've always been singing with her, to her. We have little instruments and all of that. And there are people asking like, do you think you might want to do that with a group of kids? And I was like, yeah, we can see what happens. And so here we are.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And when is that?
They're Saturday mornings. And I put up a sign up link usually in the new moms of Easton Park group, because that's where the people are who have the youngest kids.
Sure.
And then I just started opening up more to the homeowner page, but because I could only taking 12 kids per class.
Oh.
Because they're little.
Yeah.
They're like 11 months to like 2 years old. Yeah. 11 months to 2 years old. I can't handle more than 12. I think we would all be like, what is happening in this room?
12 is a lot.
Yeah. So 12 kiddos. And then the second section is like 2 years old to about 3.5. And then was an ask for pre-K theater. So that's for 4 and 5 year olds. What color scarf would you like?
I'm going to go yellow.
Okay. All right. Now show me your scarf. Hold it up in front of you.
Okay.
Okay. So we are going to do just a little song.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to say, so watch me. I'm going to bounce my scarf. Can you show me how to bounce your scarf?
Okay.
Very nice. This is the way we bounce our scarf. Bounce
Okay.
our scarf. Bounce our scarf. This is the way we bounce our scarf on this lovely morning. Great. Now, could you make a big circle with your scarf? A
Yes.
circle. This is the way we circle our scarf. Circle our scarf. Circle our scarf. This is the way we circle our scarf on this lovely morning.
I
All
love this.
right. Now hold your scarf in front of your face and we're going to blow.
Oh.
There you go. Would you like to try one more time? Hold it in front of your face and go. Very nice.
Love it. So if someone's new to Easton Park or they're thinking about moving to Easton Park, how can they find you to enroll their kids into what you do?
Okay. So, like I said, I post a link on the New Moms, but I also now have an Instagram page,
Okay.
and it's called Beat Buddies ATX.
BEAT?
So you can find me at Beat Buddies. The classes are always full, but always DM me anyway because sometimes there's a cancellation.
Yeah.
I always feel bad. People are like, "Can I come on Saturday?" I'm like, "Classes are already full," but kids get sick all the time. Things happen, so yes, please.
That all sounds like a lot.
Yeah. So the days when I do all 3 classes back to back, it's and I go home and I just go. You know, it's like I love it, but man, it's an energy drain. It takes a little bit to rev back up again.
Yeah. What else are you doing in the neighborhood?
Well, we just had Pride, and it was really great. We raised some money for Austin Rainbow Theater.
Awesome.
Raised over $2,000. That was awesome.
That's great.
And I applied for a grant to do free children's theater in the park. Now, this would be performance. So the children, because I'm like Skyline Park is perfect for performance.
Yeah.
How can we activate that space, not just for the neighborhood, but for the surrounding areas? Because where are the arts down here?
Right. There's not.
Where's the performing arts? Everybody has to travel at least 25 minutes to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there may be a price barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Even some places that do children's theater, I still, for my 3-year-old, would have to pay $20. I mean, I'm hoping she'll stay the whole time. Like, what? It's crazy.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, it needs to be accessible on so many levels: location, price, content.
Mm-hmm.
And so I applied for a grant through the city. They have arts grants that they are cycling through the hot tax, the hotel tax. So there's the money. And so I applied and I didn't get the grant, but I know why I didn't get the grant, which is great because they offer detailed feedback.
Okay.
So I'm reapplying.
Perfect.
Now that I know what was missing. So the idea they loved, the location they loved everything. There were just a couple of things I need to be more detailed about.
Okay.
And I'm fingers crossed. I feel like the next go round it can happen.
That would be amazing.
But it would be adult actors who would do children's plays.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because that's typically how children's theater goes. Like I've done children's theater as an adult actor, and it's, first of all, there's a lot less wrangling of people.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Kids are great, but you have to memorize your lines.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm really, really hoping it will happen. And the HOA is behind me. They're like, we'll help you market it. We'll help you get it out there. We can also help you with equipment if you need equipment rental stuff.
Awesome.
So they're 100% all in. And I just need to get the funds from the city to make it happen. And I think it can.
Come on, Austin.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And so that would look like, would it be actors from Easton Park or people would audition from everywhere?
I mean,
that'd be awesome.
Every time I talk about theater here in Easton Park, somebody comes up to me and is like, I used to do theater in high school and it's been a long time since I've done theater. And I'm like, come on over.
Do it.
Come on over. Theater is not gone. It's here. It's waiting for you. Come on back. So I think if I put out an audition notice to see if there's people here who are interested, I have a feeling there's people some might trot out and give it a whirl, you know. But it would definitely be open to anybody who's interested in doing it. I've got a few ideas of what kind of plays I want to do. Hoping for public domain stuff, like Aesop's fables and things like
Yeah.
that we can rework and make those into short plays.
Yes.
And then there's another big play that I would like to do that I would have to buy the rights for, which the rights weren't actually that expensive. Because I would love to have a bilingual component.
Yes.
Because we have so many people who speak Spanish in the area. I don't want that to be a barrier either.
Yeah.
There should be language component in there as well as ASL interpreter, right? So there's all these different pieces that have to be available. So when someone comes, it's not like, well, I didn't understand it because of the language, or I can't hear it. I couldn't enjoy, right? So
that's awesome. I love all of that. I think that we started by talking about community, and we've continued to talk about community, and everyone that we've like interviewed or like been so awesome to come and chat with us. When we say what's your favorite thing about Easton Park, everyone says community.
Yeah.
And because it is so special here. It's like, it's really unique. It's really like genuine. I think that's the difference, is everyone's happy to be here. Everyone's happy to meet new neighbors and friends, and it just feels special.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to like probably a larger need of people, probably Americans, but also globally, of needing connection. Because I always feel that the more that we are on our phones and connected through technology, the less we feel connected this way. And when we find it, we want to grab onto it and hold it, because we need it so much.
Yeah.
You know, and I think even the most introverted person is still like, oh, but I'm glad to have that FaceTime with somebody.
Yeah.
Or yeah, you know. It's nice.
Connection's key.
It is.
It's how we really need it.
Yeah.
And it's not the same behind the screen. What else in Easton Park are you very passionate about?
Well, I'm passionate about people being involved in the community events. And I say that people, I don't know if they know that they can volunteer.
Okay.
Not only volunteer, but they can suggest things they would like to see happen here. The HOA always feels like it's this thing that they're not listening and they're not whatever, and they're just this, I don't know, shadowy figures in a tower or something. That's not a thing. His name is Paul.
He's lovely.
Paul is very lovely. Now, is Paul going to be able to give you the sun, the moon, and the stars? Maybe not.
He will try.
But he will very much try, and he will listen, and he will take the time to find out and see how he can make it work. So, and I always feel like whenever I say the HOA is great, and people are like, oh, but then I'm like, okay, I've also received fines about the weeds in my yard, okay? I should have pulled them things. It's ugly, okay? But there's more to it than just that. And so I just always want to say, like, and it's not like a, what is it? A brown nosy type of thing or anything like that, because I also say when I have an issue.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to email so-and-so and be like, I don't think this fine is whatever. Let's talk about it. But I guess I want to say is like, it's very easy to be involved here. It's not as scary or as out of reach as you may think it is.
Yeah.
And if you have an idea, you should absolutely share it.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Steve and I do the music in the park.
Yeah.
And it's so fulfilling to, that's all our volunteer time. Steve started the poker club, which he volunteered his time to start. Now it pretty much runs itself. And we've just found that by volunteering our time for the things that we like doing. I mean, we started music in the park. He wanted to play poker, so he started poker. And it's so fruitful. We've made some of our best friends in the neighborhood doing what we love doing with them. And, is it work sometimes? Yeah, but I love it. It's so fun, and it's very fulfilling.
Yeah, and I also think, too, that if you're not a planner, but you have an idea, still share the idea.
Yeah.
There may be a planner who will pick it up and want to do it. Because I also see that people always have ideas of like, but I can't plan it. I'm not a planner. I don't know how to. It's okay. Just what would you like to do?
Yeah.
And then somebody will probably pick it up and help it along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So volunteer.
Volunteer
for Easton Park.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining this edition of the Moss Minute. Indiia, thank you so much for hanging out and talking about what you do for the neighborhood and the community. It was beautiful. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.